Good morning and welcome to the podcast. This one for me is really quite personal. So I met Martin about 15 years ago, and Martin became my first specialist tax advisor when I was starting my very first business. And I think most people have the idea that a tax advisor or an accountant can be quite intimidating. They almost feel like a collection service for the revenue, and it's an intimidating thing to approach one. Martin had a really different approach to me, and it felt like a kind of arm around the shoulder, and I felt that Martin was on my side. So that's why I really wanted to bring him on today to talk to you and talk to everyone about how you can structure things correctly from the beginning. And really now I look at a really good accountant, a really good tax advisor like Martin as a fixed price business partner who can help you with your numbers and structure things correctly from the beginning. Now, Martin has started his own one-stop shop, which we're going to get into and talk to you today. So please welcome to the podcast, my good friend, Martin Wardle. Martin, thanks for coming along today.
You're very welcome, Phil. 15 years, I didn't realise.
Yeah.
We both just left school. I think you were closer to school than I am. But anyway.
At the time when I met you, I was recommended by a friend, and you were working at a company. I think you were a director of a company. You've now set up on your own. But before we get into that, tell us about where you came from. Tell us a little bit about the origin story.
Oh, right. So, yeah, I probably like 90% of the people in the Northeast that grew up on a typical council estate in a typical council estate area. So I think outside of probably, Darras, Pont, Jesmond and Gosforth, that's everyone's story in the Northeast, to be fair. Yeah, classic, grew up with nothing, stuck in, trying to claw my way out the other end, But I've got to be honest with you, we didn't realise that was the life I had.
Yeah.
Because everywhere I looked, it was the same. There was no missing out. I didn't realise that, it was just what we were all used to it. Very few people in my circle, I suppose, when I was a kid growing up, had anything different to me, so we were all just happily grown up, playing curbsy with each other, climbing trees, building camps, and, going in when the lights came on, the same as everybody else in the 70s and 80s, to be honest.
Whereabouts did you go to school? Were you an educated private school guy?
No, I was a barely educated comp guy with Grange Comprehensive, which if anyone Googles has been in the papers for a lot of bad reasons over the years. Yeah, again, at the time, I think a lot of people, maybe I shouldn't say everybody did, but it felt like most people when I was growing up, their parents just wanted them to at least go to school and get it out of the way, because then you could just get a job. That was it. The expectations were low, which was handy in one way, bit disappointing in another, because you never know what you could have done. Most of us just grew up, went to a basic school, did basic things. Not terribly entertaining, to be fair. If anything, it meant, and I still believe this, which I don't know if this is relevant to drop now, but I think there's so many people out there doing the basics, doing the bare minimum, that actually it's quite easy to get ahead, which I know it's always people in the comments and people go, oh yeah, it's all right for you. But I still think it's not hard to beat the average person. And that's all you have to do. You've just got to be better than average. I
totally agree. And I think that that's a great jumping off point for anyone that's hoping to get into entrepreneurship or business, is to know that you don't have to be the next Elon Musk or whatever fabulous life for yourself. You've just got to be better than the next.
Just wherever you are, the next time you're in a room with 20 or 30 people, think, am I better than half of these people? Can I outwork half of these people? The answer should be an easy yes. That's no disrespect to my fellow man, but, it doesn't have to be, I'm not saying, do 12 hours of study a night and, work 90-hour weeks. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that.
There's a stereotype that I don't want to kind of pull out of you or anything, but I think that most people's idea of an accountant or a tax advisor is that it is a safe, boring profession. Now, my experience in knowing you and Arthur Wappett, who was my first kind of advisor and mentor, the opposite has been true for me knowing you guys, that you're actually forward thinking. You're more entrepreneurial and you are just more understanding of risk. Was there someone in your early childhood that had a view on how you see risk now, or was there someone that shaped your ambition?
I think I've been quite lucky to be surrounded by fairly mundane but quite handy kind of role models. So my dad never stopped trying.
Okay.
Probably a bit more kind of only fools than dragons den. Somehow it never quite fell, but he never stopped. This is a guy who was knocked off a motorbike, nearly killed, metal sticking out of his legs for years.
Wow.
But then just got straight back on the bike. Either brave or stupid. We never got to the bottom of it. But he had that attitude to work as well. He would just get up in the morning, go out first thing, get the days out of the way, and then come back and do as much as he could to earn money. Fantastic role model like that. My mother was the same. So probably first, if not second generation, where all of a sudden both parents were working a lot. So again, my mother would go out during the day while we were at school, do work. Then, she'd work chippies, she'd do all kinds, again, just to get more money in. So it's quite hard not to be inspired. It's sometimes hard when you're there, but in hindsight, looking back, it's hard not to be inspired to work hard when the two most immediate people are grafters. And then to be fair, like my wife's father is the same. He's a machine. If he sets his mind to something, he's just dedicated, motivated, and just always sees it through. You hit the wall, you find a way through it, over it, under it, push around it, whatever. I know that all sounds corny, but it's persistence that wins out. People who turn up every day, you've only got to turn up more than half of the people in the room around you. That's it.
I think that's really important, is that so there's so many out of all the people that we've interviewed that resilience keeps coming up. It's so important. Just whatever it is that you do, as long as you're resilient, as long as you stick at it and you can move the target, you can change direction, but as long as you keep going, that's the main important message.
Yeah. And again, it's boring because it's not something you can, it's not very, motivational poster, is it?
Yeah, just keep going.
Just try again. But that is the thing,
So for you personally, I understand the resilience. I understand almost a hardworking, slightly entrepreneurial family. What was it that landed you on accountancy and tax and numbers?
I was actually going to join the army.
Really?
You didn't know that, did you?
I did not know that. I couldn't imagine you in the army.
Yeah, so I had a good pal who loved, I was the classic 15, 16, 17-year-old pictures of escort Cosworths on my wall and all that kind of stuff, reading Max Power magazine. We loved this idea of making things, always taking things apart, sticking them back together. My Walkman had no chance. I didn't have a Walkman that lasted more than 6 months. So I always thought the idea of working with your hands and building things was a good idea. And my mate said one day, let's join the army. Let's join the REMEs, the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers. Great. Funny story for another side. My mate didn't get in. He didn't like the options he was given. The guy came out and said, do you play any instruments? He said, no. Why? And he went, we'll teach you how to cook. Because his list of jobs on offer from the army was cook and basically band. So he was like, I can't join the REMEs. No, you can't, mate. So anyway, I was still going to do it. And this was early 90s where everyone basically went to Northern Ireland at the time.
Oh, God. Right. Scary.
It was a tough gig, but at the time I owed my parents 400 quid. Notice owed, nothing was given. And at the time I was on like 50 a week as a YTS. So equivalent back in the 90s of the current apprenticeship scheme, So I'm on my 29.50 a week. I owed my mum and dad 400 quid for a computer or a hi-fi.
Yeah.
And my dad sat down in a classic bloke stance, didn't say that he didn't want us to join the army, blamed it on my mother and said, your mother doesn't want you to join the army. If you don't join, I'll let you off for that 400 quid.
Oh.
So I immediately went, that's 400 quid won. Meanwhile, I'd had an interview for another placement on the scheme I was on, and I got offered that job. And that was, I thought, well, and that was Robson Laidler. That's my prior firm.
Yeah.
So that's handy. I can take that job, make 400 quid on day one, wipe the slate clean, and go into my 16th year on the earth debt free. And I didn't have to go and do border patrol in Northern Ireland, which, and that was it really.
That's not a traditional jump into accountancy.
No, I had zero. I didn't even know what it was. and why tax? Well, at the time there was 25, 30 people in the firm. It just so happened they were looking for a tax junior. Just so happened that the woman who interviewed me, Margaret Campbell, 6 months after that, she said, you were the only one who wore a suit. That's why you got the job. I was like, oh, so it wasn't me. It was, but yeah, so, it's just one of those classic cliches. You just keep trying your luck, something lands, So yeah. And I wasn't looking for it and they weren't looking for me.
Tell us a little bit more about what you're building now, because that's really what we're here to talk about today.
Okay, yeah. So after 32 years, 2/3 of my life in Robson Laidler, I had a bit of a health wobble. And during that health wobble, I started thinking, well, what will I do if I have this fight, hopefully win the fight? I need something to do other than what I was doing. It was a stressful job, a lot of hours, a lot of risk. Great fun. The returns were all there, but I thought, well, I need something else to do in case, life doesn't play a game, And everything was fine with my health. And I thought, well, I should be okay then. But actually, coming up with this plan B, just silently in the back of my mind, just as I sit and potter around, made me think, well, actually, that sounded pretty good. This imagined business that I was working on, without even realizing my subconscious, I kind of went, I want to try that now. Like, I'd subconsciously talked myself into it. And the reason that I thought it would work is I still firmly believe that despite AI and everything that's happening, there's a lot of need for people just to have someone they can speak to, someone they understand, someone they trust, who will actually just talk them through how things work in quite a basic way. And I think landlords get a lot of stick. Tax gets a lot of stick.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, why don't I try and change the reputations of two sectors in one?
Fill that gap. And I think that's why I have moved with you, because I obviously do property. The people that listen to this are involved in property. You're a landlord yourself as well?
Yeah. So I've been a landlord and a chartered tax advisor now since something like 2001.
Okay.
So you could read from that you have to be part of the sector you're trying to specialise in.
Yes.
And that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because weirdly, I think property and tax isn't so niche that you have to be an expert, but I think it just makes the conversation easier. So when you say I'm buying something, I'm going to do this, I'm going to flip it. If you understand the terminology, that's half the battle. If you can use that terminology back to your target audience, that's it. That's the clinch, I think.
So if we were, I know you're saying you don't want to niche it down, but if you were to find who's this for? Who's your ideal customer? Who's your target base that you can help?
I think the sweet spot is probably not a very flattering way to call them, but it's the boomer landlord with anywhere from a couple to a dozen properties.
Yeah.
Why boomer? They're normally in a relationship in a couple where there's a high earner and a non-earner. They're doing all right. They don't want to spend time trying to learn tax. They just don't want to risk getting the forms wrong. They're old enough that they didn't grow up with IT, but they know what it can do. So they trust when you ask them to do basic things. So they're quite savvy. They don't mind paying for a service and they don't want to do it themselves. Now it sounds, why would anyone else buy anything? That's the market, I think there's just a lot of people try and ignore them and they just say, oh no, we'll go for the young, want a 20-year-old who wants 40 properties by the time they're 21. I can do that. And I've got no problem doing that. But I think there's just a market that people haven't chose to look after, which I think no matter what sector you're in, if you can find a way to stand out and be a little bit different, and then I suppose have the nerve to just wait for that to come, rather than just say, well, actually, I'm not as busy as I should be. I'll just take anything.
Yes.
That's where I think a lot of people get it wrong. So try and have a thing, focus on it. Normally it's easier. You can normally market one sector easier. You can learn one sector easier. You can you can get well known in a sector much more easy than just saying, I will deal with anybody.
And what do you think it is that you can offer to those people that is going to be more beneficial to them? What's the headaches you can take away from that person that you can go, yeah, don't worry, just leave? Because that was the best thing. When I met you, came to you, I was so nervous, I was so worried, and you just kind of went, well, don't worry, that's the bit I'll do. I'll take care of all of this, and that's what we'll charge you. And I took like a sigh of relief. I was like, someone's on my side. What is it now in your new firm that you can take off the shoulders of people?
I think there's a lot of anxiety and stress anytime you get the brown letter, and then it doubles again when you see it says HM Revenue and Customs on. Any brown letter is normally bad. It's the classic bill, whatever.
Or driving
points. Or you're getting sued, or you've brown letters are bad. So tip, don't use brown letters in your business. Yeah. People won't open your post. But if you can just let them know that they can just send a copy to you and just go, don't worry, I'll have a look. And then have a look. You've got to have the answers. You can't just blag everybody. But and I think just that peace of mind. We all do it. There's things you do that you buy in that you could definitely learn. You could definitely learn to build a fantastic gazebo in your garden, and maybe you do, but you don't also then learn how to plaster your walls, do your own roof. There's things where you go, well, actually, I quite like the idea of that, but there's a whole load of things that we already outsource, and it's just another one of those things,
And I think that everyone should have their own specialty. So for me, if it's development, it's pulling in the right team, the right people at the right time to do the right job. And I think that your specialty, or the one I've felt that your specialty is, you've taken the burden of tax and numbers away from me I've told you what I need and wanted, and sometimes going like, oh no, that bill seems too high. But that's what you bring to the table. But what you're building with TH Ward, it's a one-stop shop. You've got multiple businesses within your business.
So what I'm trying to do, I suppose, is one of the hardest things that property people need to do is, and if you do any training, say it in a possibly in a corny way, if you read any books, they'll tell you to do this. It's always about building a team. Exactly what you've just said a second ago. What you bring to a gig is you've got the contact. So what I'm trying to do is I don't want people to come to me necessarily for their tilers, their gas and everything else, but what I have got in my office is within 20 foot of my desk, as you've just seen, I've got a mortgage broker, I've got a financial advisor. Property people still need other plans.
Of course you do.
I've got a commercial finance broker who'll do development finance, bridge and finance, an insurance broker, a letting agent, and just got all these people in-house. They don't work for me, but I've just got them all on tap. So think of it as like a hub. You've got a hub of financial excellence, is the way I would put it. So normally, if you're in and you say, well, I really should get my wills looked after, give me 2 seconds, I'll see if he's there. It just makes things a lot easier, it's smoother. And then, of course, if you're saying, Bry's asked this, what do I do about that? I'm just go, I'll just pop and see him. I'll sort it out for you.
Yeah.
So it's not like the doorman on a fancy hotel, but it's a bit like that.
Sure,
it's a concierge,
That's
just
a good way to look at it.
I can put you in touch and then I can help to manage the relationship and just make sure it's a bit smoother,
And you must have heard I was thinking about this morning, you must have heard some wild ideas when people come to you and they're like, this is my plan, this is what I want to do. At what point is it your job to not necessarily curb an idea, but what's most helpful to you if someone comes to you in the beginning and says, this is my idea, then can you structure things correctly and help them in the beginning? Is that the best way for people to reach out to you?
This might not be exactly what you're asking, but people will come in. I'll give you an example of a wild idea. There was a Sparky that came in years ago, buying a house. I want 100. Oh, you want 100, right? Not many people have 100. I think the average is 2 or 3. People think the average is probably a dozen. It's not. The average is 2 or 3. There's so many accidental and 1 and 2 property landlords. The average really isn't. It's not what the media would have you believe. There are people out there with hundreds. There aren't many. I think 100 puts you in probably the top 0.5% of landlords, excluding the large institutions. So when someone comes in and says they want 100, I go, all right, okay, I do want 100. Quick as a flash, so I'll be able to retire. I would imagine you would if you had 100 houses. Are you going to mortgage? Yeah. I'll have 20% deposits. And all right, okay, so you want 100 houses, 100 grand a shot times 20%. It's a lot of deposits, mate. Where are they coming from?
Yeah.
So then you go, oh, I hadn't really thought of that. Right, okay then. So let's rewind. What are you trying to do? And I don't mean you're trying to buy houses. If you think of the buying houses as a tool, the thing you're trying to do is work less.
Yeah.
He wants to lie under floorboards less. Fair enough, your knees are going to go in 10 years. You don't want to be under the floors as a 45-year-old bloke, Right, okay. What do you need to retire? Then let's fill the plan in from there. So quite often people come in and they've got these really ambitious targets that are way more than they need. And I think it can possibly set people into their own kind of doom loop because they're never going to hit that ridiculous target, but also they don't need to.
Yeah.
So I'll normally say to people, look, let's assume you're going to have maybe 5 or 10 in the next few years. That'll still be some going. Let's work on that. And then let's make sure there's room to grow if you do get to 100. We'll hold your hand through it, But I just try and I wind people back and say, what's the thing you're actually trying to do? Not the mechanism, the tool, the investment to get there. If you want to work less hours, right, I can work with that. Let's build a plan that does that via property. And it might be 6 properties. Which is much easier than 100.
Oh, totally. But I think so many people think that, and I don't know why there's like a younger thing at the minute where 10 grand a month's a thing. I don't know why it's a thing.
I got that for a long time. There must just be someone out there pitching
10 grand a month.
You need 10 grand.
You need 10 grand a month. And I was like, why don't you just start getting to 2 grand?
It's no more plausible than the 10,000 steps, which I think is well known now, was just made up on.
Yeah.
Someone went, well, we need a number. 10,000 sounds all right. It's not bespoke. It's not you. If you'd been in a coma for 9 months and you were getting out of bed, I wouldn't go 10,000 steps tomorrow, Phil. I would go, let's do more than today. And then let's build proper targets.
I agree.
So this idea of just 10 grand a month, 100 properties, I don't know where it comes from. Yeah.
What made you jump from essentially being an employee to starting your own business? And I'm not saying later in life because you're still a young guy, but
don't worry, it's fair to say.
What was there like a problem that made you jump? I know that we've spoken about your health, or like, did it just feel like the right time where you were like, no, I'm taking the bull by the horns and this is what I'm doing with the rest of my life?
I can probably blame Jimmy Carr.
Really?
Yeah, who's quite deep if you listen to him.
Yeah, very.
Rather than just these comedy, he's actually quite a deep guy. And he'll talk regularly about you regret the things you didn't do.
Mm,
The worst that will happen if this doesn't work is I'll get a job and I'll be just like everybody else.
true.
Well, that's not so bad, is it?
It's very good.
If the worst that happens is you're like everybody else. Yeah. Now I've got 2 kids still at home, still on the payroll, as it were. I've got a cat that can't eat normal food. I've got an expensive pet. See, I've got all the same things that could stop me as everybody else. I've had health issues that floored me for basically a year, many years ago. There's loads of reasons not to have done it, but I think I just wouldn't have. Once that idea set, like germinated and started growing, I couldn't ignore it.
Sure, it's
Yeah.
there.
So I was very comfortable. That's not meant as a brag. I was in a comfortable job where I'd written my own role largely. There was nobody telling me what to do because I was a part owner in the firm. I wasn't, so when I went in and I said, all right, I'm leaving. Do you want to buy me out? I think they thought I was mad.
Mm.
Because there's no reason why I shouldn't have just sat there for another 6-7 years, went at 55, just put my feet up and got the cigars out, But I don't know, maybe I'm stupid. I just didn't fancy that.
I don't think it's stupid. I don't think there's anything stupid in trying an endeavour, exactly what you say, because you don't want to die with your music still in you. And I don't talk about death. But we're both a long way off from that. Looking back at a bit of legacy kind of stuff, legacy kind of planning, we understand where and why you started it. What is your hope for your business? We're not talking about the Sparky for 100, but where do you want to take to you?
I think I've rekindled my original love, might be strong, taste for tax.
Okay.
So tax isn't normally about reporting. The exciting bit is in the planning. Adding stuff or putting on a form isn't the exciting bit. And I think even though that's a large part of what I do, I think if you can just give it a bit more than that. So that scratches that itch. Every client I talk to, every time I'm talking about their bill, every onboarding, interview, prospect meeting, whatever you want to call it, just you get that little bit of adrenaline every time, and that's quite nice. But my real, I suppose, passion now on tax is actually speaking to rooms. I speak regularly to rooms full of people, try to do it in a non-tax way because nobody wants that. So try and just, talk to rooms. And I think if you said, what's the perfect job in 5-10 years from now? What would the firm look like? There'd be a relatively small, no more than 10 people, team of people churning out lots of the good stuff. Not churn like a sausage factory, delivering good service, holding people's hands, doing it properly. And I would probably be, driving back from Leeds at the moment, having just gave a talk to 200 mortgage brokers in a hotel off the M6 or something like that. Yeah.
You're going the wrong way from Leeds if you're on the M6.
I didn't tell. I didn't say I knew where Leeds was, Phil. Whatever road that is, then that. Yeah. I like speaking to rooms. Strangely, there's this new phrase at the moment. I think it's called something like an outrovert or omnivert or something. Have you heard this?
Yeah, I think so.
It's people who are introverts who can turn on extrovert when needed. I think that's me. So I'll finish this. I'll be happy, say whatever, nothing embarrasses us kind of thing, but I'll go home tonight and I'll just switch off till Tuesday morning.
Sure.
I got no desire to go out and do anything and mix with people. So, I seem to manage to turn both things on when I need to, Yep. It's beautiful here by you, isn't it?
It is beautiful.
Well, I learned when I came here that Martin Luther King statue, Newcastle University was the first university to give him a doctorate.
Really?
I think. Don't quote me on that.
No. If you're watching this.
I think that's right. Newcastle University was the first university to give Martin Luther King a doctorate.
Wow.
And I think he came and stayed here.
Okay, let's move on to a final kind of quick fire round. So we're just going to hit you with 4 questions and there's no right or wrong answer. It's just instinctively what feels right to you. Would you rather scale fast or build slowly?
Yeah, 2 harsh options. I've got to pick one.
One.
Scale properly. Do it well. You've only got to do it once. I think if you build fast, there's a danger. You've got to pull it down and rejig it.
And would you rather control everything or would you rather empower other people?
I empower other people.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't want to know. I used to sit in director meetings and say, you're all just talking about your departments now. Can I go? And it wasn't that I didn't care. It was that I trust those people to get on with it.
Yeah.
I'll look after my team. I'll answer any questions you want. I'll let you get on with your team. I'll just trust you to get on with it.
I think that's probably the only sensible way that you can really scale a business now. You have to just give people their targets and be surprised by their results. Micromanaging just doesn't seem to work.
No, nobody wants to be micromanaged anyway.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing. Nobody puts that on their hopes and dreams for their next job. I would like someone to sit right on my shoulder all day.
Would you rather have profit or make an impact? I know that's tough because I know you need both.
Impact, but I wouldn't judge people who say profit, because I think it depends where you are. Yeah, I'm fortunate. I've worked and earned for 33 years now. And like I say, if the worst happened tomorrow, I would be all right. I would just get a job. But I would understand if you were 22 with 2 kids, that's different. Yeah. Profit's not to be sneered at. I'm not an enemy of profit.
And in your final opinion, what is more important in the beginning? Growth and focusing on growth, or risk?
I'm going to have to say you need both there, Phil. Sorry.
You do.
I can't pick one.
Okay.
I think you only grow by taking risks. And I don't mean by failing, learning. I don't mean that. I mean, do something every day that's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
You haven't got to bungee jump and then, end up doing weird things, but do something every day that's a little bit scary. Manage your risk if you want, but take it.
Yeah.
You've got to take some risk.
You must have worked with hundreds of businesses over your career in the 3 decades, as you've said. Where do most businesses go wrong? What's the main failure of business?
Wow, there's so much. I think basic cash flow can't be underestimated. And there's a drive at the moment to push everything into limited companies. And I think so many people don't understand that the company's money isn't their money. And you've got to know what money you can take, why, when. You've got to understand your basic finances. I think second to that is dispute fallout. I mean, I remember many years ago now, a lovely lad came in, he said, I'm bringing my business partners in. And he brought 7 people in and we're buying a property together.
Wow.
It's like 8 people buying a buy-to-let. I said, this is just not going to work.
Yeah.
John, we're all really good pals, and this is Jimmy. I served with him in, he said, Nam. Can't remember where it was, but I was like, it's too many people. I think if you're starting a business, maybe pick a good running mate, but not half a dozen.
Yeah, sure.
And it doesn't matter if it's family or friend. If there's 3 or 4 of you, you're going to fall out. And you'll want different things within 5 years. You'll all be saying that this isn't what I thought we were doing. So yeah, manage your finances, close second, pick your running mates well.
Looking forward, what is it that you, Martin Wardle, would want to be remembered for?
I don't know. I mean, it's actually a year and a day since I started.
Oh, perfect time to
So I put something on LinkedIn, and I said that, and I said, thanks to everyone who supported us along the way.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I know a lot of people who I can lean on who've done everything over the years. Actually, there was another tax advisor in Gosforth, Gordon, props, thanks, lovely words, who said something like, no surprise, you're also so gracious with your time, because he's doing the same as me. It's not competition. It's not like the market's big enough for 2 good tax advisors in Newcastle. There's a lot of work. So it would be nice to be remembered as someone who's helping others, It sounds really corny, but it's actually when you get a client or a testimonial and they say, oh yeah, that wouldn't have happened without you. It's not an ego thing. It actually does feel nice, It's nice to help people do things that they want to do.
Yeah.
If you can make a profit while you're on, that's even better.
It is important, yeah. If people wanted to reach out to you and they love the cut of your jib, how would they do it? How would people find you? How could they reach out to you?
All of the usual things. Instagram, so it's Martin Wardle, TH Ward, Instagram, website. Anybody can just jump on the website, get in touch, free half-hour chat. Can't say fairer on that.
What I'll do is I'll drop all of the stuff in the show notes below so anyone can just click through and go directly to Martin. I obviously think so much of you, as you know. We've been friends now a long time, and I would call you a friend. Moving forward, I wish you all the luck in the world with this venture. I'm obviously a customer, so I can only recommend you as a customer, but thank you for your time today, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.